the Daily Wisdom Podcast, Episode 40, Integrity and the Singleness of Heart, Wholeness is Wealth. Welcome back to the Daily Wisdom Podcast. I am so glad you are here. Thank you for lending me your ear, your attention, and a few moments of your precious life. On the 24th of April, 2025, Kingdom Publishing Incorporated released Rooted and Grounded in Love, Absorbing Key Nutrients to Becoming a Strong Believer. Co-author Aaron Montag presented a superdelegate treatment on the matter on integrity. So, today, I want to speak to the part of you that is tired of fragmentation, tired of mixed signals, tired of false starts, tired of being pulled in 10 directions at once, tired of living in the world that rewards appearance over authenticity, image over substance, performance over purity, and noise over truth. Today, I want to talk about integrity, not merely as morality, not merely as honesty, but as wholeness, as alignment, as singleness of heart, as the power of becoming one person in every room, one person in private and in public, one person in thought, one person in speech, one person in action, not divided, not doubled, not fractured, whole. Anger today comes from that magnificent passage in 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. Paul says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it keeps no record of wrongs. It rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails." What a text! What a mirror! What a measuring rod! Because if love rejoices in the truth, then integrity is love with a backbone. Integrity is love standing upright. Integrity is love refusing to split itself in order to please a lying world. And I need to say this to somebody listening today. Your breakthrough will not come merely because you want more. It will come when more of you comes into agreement with truth. There is a reason so many people feel exhausted. It is not always because they are doing too much. Sometimes it is because they are being to many people. One version for church, one version for work, one version for social media, one version for family, one version for the mirror, and the burden of carrying all those selves is crushing. But integrity is the grace of no longer having to remember who you pretended to be. Integrity is freedom. Integrity is freedom. Integrity is rest. Integrity is power. That is why singleness matters. Singleness of heart means that your inner world and your outer world begin to agree. It means your values are not just decorative language. They are directional truth. It means you do not merely say you believe in righteousness, discipline, stewardship, ownership, faith, community, family, and goddess order. You begin to live as though those things are real. You begin to move with internal congruence. And when a man or woman begins to move with congruence, there is a force in that life. There is a steadiness in that soul. There is a gravity in that voice. Because people may ignore talent for a while, but they cannot forever ignore integrity. Now let me bring this home to the WPBS franchise. The West Philadelphia Billionaire Society is not merely about money. It is not merely about group economics. It is not merely about buying books, supporting stores, building businesses, or circulating dollars. It is about something deeper. It is about collective alignment. It is about teaching a people, especially a people historically battered by fragmentation, exploitation, misinformation, and internalized defeat, to come back into singleness of thought, singleness of purpose, singleness of conversation, and singleness of constructive action. Because, hear me carefully, a divided people cannot build enduring wealth. If we say we want ownership, but keep financing everything except our own development, we are divided. If we say we want legacy, but keep consuming in ways that destroy the future of our children, we are divided. If we say we love our people, but cannot organize, cannot trust, cannot support, cannot stay focused long enough to build institutions, then we are divided. And division is expensive. Fragmentation is costly. Duplicity drains power. Multiplicity scatters momentum. A distracted heart cannot build disciplined future. That is why integrity is not just a personal virtue. It is an economic necessity. It is a communal necessity. It is a covenant necessity. WPBS is, in many ways, a call to integrity. It is a call for our speech, our spending, our values, our vision, and our aspirations to line up. It is a call to stop saying one thing and financing another. A call to stop praising unity while practicing disunity. A call to stop admiring ownership while remaining addicted to dependency. A call to stop longing for transformation while resisting the disciplines that make transformation possible. And my dear rising rebuilder, this is where it gets personal. You, the one listening to me right now, you do not merely want more money. You want to feel whole again. You want your life to mean something. You want to know that your pain did not have the last word. You want to feel seen, valued, and attractive, not just outwardly, but inwardly. You want to know that you are still worthy of love, still capable of impact, still able to build, still able to rise. You want your days to add up to something beautiful. And I came to tell you today that integrity is part of how that rebuilding happens. You rebuild by becoming undivided. You rebuild when your heart stops chasing every glittering distraction and comes home to purpose. You rebuild when your mouth and your habits begin to agree. You rebuild when your convictions become conduct. You rebuild when you stop making emotional decisions that sabotage your future. You rebuild when you learn to live from principle instead of impulse. You rebuild when you stop outsourcing your identity to the opinions of people who have never had to carry your burden, survive your storm, or answer to your God. Integrity is not glamorous in the beginning. It is often quiet. It is often costly. It is often lonely. But it is always strong. Duplicity, by contrast, is weak. It presents strength, but it is weak. It flatters, but it cannot build. It performs, but it cannot persevere. It makes promises it cannot keep. It smiles in public and schemes in private. It values optics over outcomes. And Scripture tells us that love is not self-seeking. So wherever selfish manipulation thrives, integrity is absent. Wherever hidden agendas rule, trust dies. And once trust dies, relationships fail, movements weaken, and communities collapse under the weight of suspicion. Can I say it plainly? No people can become economically powerful without moral coherence. Not perfection, but coherence. Not sinlessness, but sincerity. Not flawlessness, but alignment. And then there is multiplicity. Distracted heart, the unfocused soul, the life that keeps switching lanes, switching values, switching commitments, switching loyalties, switching priorities. Today this matters. Tomorrow that matters. Today we are serious. Tomorrow we are scattered. Today we are building. Tomorrow we are drifting. Multiplicity is dangerous because it feels busy, but produces very little depth. It creates motion without momentum. That is why so many remain frustrated. They are sincere, but scattered. Passionate, but pulled apart. Gifted, but diluted. Interested in everything, committed to nothing. And beloved, you cannot build legacy on a divided heart. Paul said love always perseveres. Perseverance requires concentration. It requires a settled heart. It requires the courage to remain, to stay with the process, to keep planting, to keep building, to keep trusting, to keep showing up, to keep believing God while the evidence is still forming. This is what integrity produces. It produces endurance. It produces trustworthiness. It produces peace. There is a peace that comes when you no longer have to live a double life. There is a peace that comes when your conscience is not fighting your conduct. There is a peace that comes when you know your life is pointed in one direction. There is a peace that comes when the things you say you honor are the things you actually practice. And that peace is not small. It changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how you speak. It changes how you spend. It changes how you love. It changes how you parent. It changes how you worship. It changes how you build. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you pursue. It changes what you pass down. So yes, today's message is about personal integrity, but it is also about cultural repair. It is about communal healing. It is about the kind of inner restructuring that must happen if outer transformation is going to last. Because if we want stronger families, stronger churches, stronger businesses, stronger communities, stronger economic ecosystems, then we must become stronger in the hidden places. Integrity is born in the hidden place. Long before it is seen in public, it is chosen in private. That is why this matters for PBS, because the dream of community-owned wealth cannot be sustained by charisma alone. It cannot be sustained by slogans alone. It cannot be sustained by outrage alone. It must be sustained by disciplined, aligned, truth-loving people whose hearts are not divided against themselves. People who can be trusted. People who can stay the course. People who can choose principle over appetite, mission over ego, and legacy over immediate gratification. This is how love enters economics. This is how love enters enterprise. This is how love enters ownership. When we refuse exploitation, when we pursue truth, when we honor one another, when we build with clean hands and clear hearts, when we choose patience over panic, stewardship over showmanship, and covenant over convenience. And for someone listening today, this episode is your invitation back to yourself, back to the version of you that is honest, back to the version of you that can focus, back to the version of you that can commit, back to the version of you that can be trusted with more because you have stopped betraying what matters most. Back to the version of you that is rooted and grounded in love, not tossed around by every appetite, every insecurity, every trend, every mood, every distraction. You do not need to become somebody else. You need to become integrated. You need your heart, your faith, your values, your money, your words, and your actions to begin moving in the same direction. That is where the power is. That is where the healing is. That is where the future begins. And that, my friend, is why integrity is wealth. Before we'll close, let me leave you with this. If you want to go deeper into these themes, identity, restoration, ownership, truth, purpose, rebuilding, and transformation, I want to encourage you to explore Deeply Rooted in Love and the WPBS franchise with all the powerful resources available through MX3 Motivational Books, OTS.com. These books are not just products. They are tools. They are seeds. They are conversations. They are catalysts designed to help the rising rebuilder think differently, live differently, build differently, and rise differently. So today, choose singleness over scattering. Choose truth over performance. Choose alignment over confusion. Choose integrity over image. Choose love that rejoices in the truth. Choose the kind of life that can bear the weight of your calling. Because when your heart becomes one, your life becomes strong. Thank you for listening to the Daily Wisdom Podcast. This is episode 40. Share it with someone who is rebuilding. Share it with someone who is tired of fragmentation. Share it with someone who needs to remember that wholeness is still possible. And until next time, stay rooted, stay grounded, stay strong, and keep building.